Hello and welcome to Scott's Garage. Today we have kind of a fun project. It's sort of a small project. We're inside the van here, and ever since we got the van, Lily's been asking me for a cutting board that would fit in this sink. We have a pretty standard sink here. It's small, and the van is small, and there's not much room. And so when this sink is not in use, it'd be really handy to have more countertop space. So let's just take some measurements. I think I'll make it, the outside will be exactly the same as this size, and then I'll make an inside part that's the same as this size. And I'll have to determine what the radius is. And let's get started. It should be fun. All right, so let's just start by taking some measurements. I'll maybe draw a little picture here. Okay, so I'm not really sure how I'm gonna relieve this. I'd like it to kind of set in there and fit tightly, but I'm not sure how I'm going to relieve the wood to do that yet. And then the next thing I want to do is kind of figure out what these radiuses are, and then we'll go from there. So I kind of got out my various selections of different hardwood. I have some oak, some maple, more oak here, more maple. I don't know what this is, ebony, something like that, a little bit of ebony. And then I don't remember what the name of this one is. But what I'm thinking of is take this and then maybe cut a couple of strips like this size out of the ebony and kind of do like this in the center and then one here and one here and alternating a different pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a bunch of pieces. It's supposed to be 15 inches long, so I'll cut them 15.5, and then I will start to arrange them and see if I can come up with some kind of a neat pattern that would equal about 13 inches wide. So then we'll just go 15.5 and we'll cut this. I kind of like the way that I cut that. And there I have my first piece, kind of like the center of my cutting board. So this is going to be my setup table, something like this. I don't know. Start filling it in. And I haven't like calculated this out. So I'm just sort of cutting pieces, and I'm going to, because we're gonna chew this up after I glue it all up. We're going to cut it to size anyway, so I'm gluing it up oversized. So I don't know, something like this. So far, we got to get a total of like 13 inches. So we got a ways to go. So this is what I have so far. Looking pretty good. And we're only at 8. We have to get 13, so another 5 inches. Now we're getting somewhere. So I thought I would take kind of a break here and take this opportunity to talk about wood. You see me throw around a lot of different kinds of wood. Oh, this is this, this is that. This is maple, poplar, oak, ash, birch, all those kind of things. So really the best way that I know how is to get yourself a good handbook. So this is called Good Wood. I've had this for many years, and by Albert Jackson and David Day, and I use this all the time. And it has like each kind of wood, the tree it comes from, how hard it is, what it's used for, what it's good for, what it's not good for, and then what it looks like in the different things. So if you don't know which wood to use, you can look at this before you buy it, or if you have a piece of wood, you can look this up and kind of find out what it is. You may not know what it is, but just a good reference of everyday stuff. Okay, so I put these big, thick pieces of oak in here. Let's see how we're doing. Yeah, 13 inches is a lot. 12. Okay, so we need another inch, don't we all? Okay, so I think we got it here. There. The good thing about this is the oak is at the end. And a lot of times if you have this maple at the end, the maple's so hard that if you're routering it or cutting it, it can chip out a little bit. With my crappy router bits and saw blades and stuff particularly. But if you have oak, it cuts really nice and it's going to be really cool. So I think we got it. So let's glue this bad boy up. My poor man's plunger. My poor man's planer. You just have to think flat. Think flat.
Early the next morning.
If you kind of need a workbench area, but you don't have one, I can't think of anything that works better than a couple of sawhorses and a closet door. You have more than 2 sawhorses, 2 closet doors, and then you have yourself a big working table. This is the underside where I had the craft paper under there, so I really didn't have an opportunity to wipe off the glue when it was wet, but it doesn't really take that much. Just kind of like this, just scrape off the big parts and then we'll get the rest of it with the belt sander. Alright, a couple of things I did is I turned the work piece here because the belt's going to be going this way, so I want it to go with the grain. And then I put myself a little bit of a stop here, so as it's coming forward, it'll stop it from rolling a little bit. So 80 grit sandpaper, maybe it's 100, I don't know, something like that. And then it's kind of important to, especially with a belt sander, to make sure that your cord is out of the way, because they have a tendency to eat the cords and grind them up. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. It's not all the way done yet, but it's pretty flat, and I think we're ready to true up the sides, because this isn't the exact size that I need, so we're going to do that on the table saw. And the dimension for the short side, which is this side, is 12 3/4. Right now it is 13.5. So if we do a little math, that would be 3/4 of an inch. So if we took off 3/8, so if we started off with 13 1/8, I think that might be, because the idea is I want to take the same amount off each side. Now we can go right at 12 3/4, which is our desired width for the cutting board. And then we double check the plan. 12 3/4 for the big. Okay, yep, that's right. And then sanity check. I'm looking at the thickness of this and the thickness of this, and that looks pretty good. Let's cut. And this piece is like waving around like that. I'm not going to stand in front of it. You never know when it's going to grab something and fly over there. I just wait till the saw is stopped, then I can grab this piece. You don't want to stand in front of it. You don't want to go grabbing it when it's wiggling around. Just wait. Take your time. That thing can come sliding off there pretty fast, and it can be a bad scene. 12 3/4, 12 3/4, and we got our oak bands just about right where we want them. Okay, so now this is kind of the hard part, because this isn't really even here. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Because this is kind of a thick piece, this T-square would be hanging way off the other side. So, but I don't know what'll happen if what happens when I get way out here though? That'll work. Okay. Okay. That looks good. Let's try. All right. That actually worked really good. Feel like our side is really straight. Ah! So 15 is our final size, right? Yep, okay. So then if I did 15 1/4 here, here's my new straight side. To take that off, and then come back again and do the final 15 with the other side. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Oh yeah, I like it. Okay, now I can come back this way and I can clean up this other side right at 15. Double check. And then, oh yeah, that's gonna be good. Okay. That looks great. All right. Okay, what next? All right, so the next step is we're going to radius these corners. So I wanted the radius of the top of the sink one to match the edge of the sink. And I figured out that a spray can was just about the right radius here. And so what I can do is just mark this, and then I think I'll just go around with the jigsaw. And what do they call it? Reciprocating saw, I guess. The reciprocating saw, and just cut these off. Okay. And I don't know, is this like a good time to check the van? And see if like this sanity check to see if this looks like it's going to fit in the van. I think that sounds like a capital idea. There. We don't need any fancy templates or anything. Just do that. Let's go check this in the van. All right, so we have our piece and we are bringing this into the van. Oh, you know what? Look at that. Look at how the faucet here. I did not even consider that. Ooh. Whoa. Look at that. That just fits in there so nice. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I think that'll work. The idea for this cutting board is for it to fit in the sink and then kind of center itself on the sink so it doesn't move around, because when you're cutting it, you don't want it moving around. So I was trying to find some way of making something inside this. This is the inside, to kind of keep it in the sink from moving from side to side. Thought of a bunch of different ways I could put, like, pieces like this, 4 pieces, that way it could kind of fit in the sink. I could make like a round disc out of wood. This is metal, but out of wood, and kind of put one in each corner, and then it would fit in there. But when I went to go fit this, and I fit it in the sink, and I noticed that from the previous picture, look at a photo of it right here, the sink faucet, it sticks out a little bit, and this kind of has to fit underneath it. And so that kind of caused a problem, but it sort of solved a problem in that it refined my decisions down to one, basically, which is to relieve the edge of this a small bit so that this would kind of have a step in it. So you'd have the full-size cutting board on top. Underneath you'd have a step all the way around the shape of the inside of the sink. And then when you put it on there, it would kind of snap in and more or less kind of be held in place. So because that distance underneath the faucet was really small, it kind of made sense to make this a little bit smaller so it would fit right in there. And all these kind of ideas sort of went out the window. So I have this kind of clamped down. I don't really have it clamped down directly, but indirectly, so the piece can't move this way. And then I put these pieces and I put a little pressure on them before I put the clamps on. So it's pretty much on there, and it doesn't really like to slide on this towel anyway. And I'm only going down 3/16 of an inch. It's actually about 0.180 on a flat bit. All right, wish me luck. It's been a long time since I've had to free-line this. What would you call this? Freehand it? And I hope I'm not too rusty at it. Well, all right. After a whole bunch of sawdust and a lot of noise, I don't think this is my best work, but I hope it'll fit. Let's see. Confidence is high. This out of the way. Hey. Damn. Yeah. And it fits under here pretty good. So you just slide that under. Yeah. Just got it centered right there. I think that's good. Now let's switch to the orbital sander, and we'll clean this thing up. It'll almost be ready for finish pretty soon. This actually came out pretty nice. I sanded it some more with like some 100 and 120, and then I went over it with some 220, and it's just like really, really smooth. Then I worked a bit to kind of hand sand some of these edges, and then use the orbital sander to kind of smooth this out a little bit. Checked it a couple of times in the sink, and it seemed to work really good. So I think really the last step is just to apply a little bit of mineral oil to the cutting board, and just kind of pour it in there and let it soak. Oh my, this is looking so good. Dang, this is gonna be great. That just about does it for this project. I think it came out really nice. Love that color. And I hope you enjoyed watching it. I really enjoyed doing it. It was really fun. And we'll see you next time on Scott's Garage. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.